Good morning, everybody. Hey, what's going on? Your favorite here, Gareth Soloway, pro trader, master trader. It is awesome to be here with you guys on this Tuesday morning, Eastern time here in the US, as we're looking at what the market is doing, what the market is focusing on, what the market is setting up for in terms of trading opportunities. So, what I want to do today, folks, is basically look over the markets. We're going to keep an eye on any economic news. We're going to keep an eye on some earnings reports that came out this morning. And we're going to look at general charts that are moving. I have some great trade levels. I have some awesome potential trade setups that I want to share with you this morning. And we're going to get right into it. All right. So, first and foremost, I welcome everyone to this. Don't forget to smash that like button and also follow me on YouTube, because I'm going to be doing more of these. I might even be doing one Thursday morning if you want to prep for the market and the day on Thursday as well. All right. So bottom line is, let's flip over to some chart action here. This is the S&P 500, or the SPY. Remember, the SPY is the tracking ETF for the S&P 500. Now, right now, the futures are trading up just a little bit, not much, but just a tiny bit. And basically what we saw, this is the daily chart. So we had the sharp run up in the S&P 500. We took out this downsloping trend line here, right? So this was a long-term downsloping trend line. We broke above it. We continued up. We didn't fill this gap just yet. And so I do think we have to be on alert that there may still be one more push up in the stock market, all right? And we're going to find out today with Jerome Powell speaking a little bit later. That's a major news piece that you want to follow as well, because again, Jerome Powell is watching this market. He knows what he wants. He probably does not want the market to skyrocket back to all-time highs on the S&P 500. So does he try to put some cold water on it to keep it from doing that? Or is he just as dovish as he was just last week when they reported their latest policy statement? All right, bottom line is, keep an eye on today's price action going into the Powell comments for his speech. And again, if we do see a big pop, your next major resistance on the spiders is going to be the 422 level. All right, 422 on the SPY. That equates to about 4,220 on the S&P 500. All right, couple things I want to talk about here. So number one, we got to look at natural gas. All right, I know a lot of you guys are intrigued by what's going on in natural gas. I continue to hold a position in natural gas. Natural gas has bounced off the pre-market lows. Yesterday, we had a nice little end-of-day rally down here. Let me show you the 10-minute chart. So this was your end-of-day skyrocket here. From down here, it really took off. I could say, I would guess that was short covering or a big buyer stepping into the market. This morning, we were kind of trailing off again in the pre-market here. And then what we saw is another kind of big pop here that took us kind of back to that 252 close from yesterday right here. Now, we are backing off from that as well. But basically, what I'm watching for on natural gas here is pretty simple. All right, what we're going to watch for is a break today of this area right here. So you have this pivot low right here, which is at 262, and this pivot is right here at around 260, all right? And again, those two levels, that area is going to be very influential. If we can start trading above that, you're going to head back on natural gas to 280, then back to 286, and eventually you're going above $3. And I could see 330 to 350 as a longer term target. And I want to show you the daily chart here. Let's erase these little intraday charts, because the daily chart on natural gas shows me where it should bounce back to. See this major pivot low right here, where it went up and then it came down and then it went up and then it came down, then it went up and it collapsed. That would be your retrace to a major level, meaning that if we did go back, this is your target right there. So right around $3.50. Now, that's a full dollar higher on natural gas if we can get the bounce that the charts potentially indicate. All right. Now, again, it's not going to happen overnight, so please understand that. It's not one of those things where, it's going to happen that quickly. But I certainly want us to be watching that if we do start to bounce as our target price, our max target price. Okay. All right. A couple things to go over here. It's about 8:20 a.m. We'll keep an eye to see if we have anything going on at 8:30 in terms of economic news. I want to keep us on point here with any movement in the overall S&P 500. All right. RCL, I believe RCL did have earnings this morning. That stock is up $2.30. And again, that shows us that they came in better than expected. There's a trend line here. I actually want to put it right there. That's a better trend line right there. So being up $2.30 puts us really right around this 272-ish level, right? So again, there's not really a big level here. So in terms of people asking like, hey, should we short RCL this morning? The answer is no, not yet. I'm going to show you the level I would pull the trigger at. All right. So again, there's actually a little bit of a level right in there at around $73 right here, right? So 73.25 would be your first level. Your big one for me would be 76.60. So again, for me, high risk at 73.25. The lower risk short, if it pops all the way to 76.50, you can see that pivot low right there. That's going to give you an opportunity for a day trade short on RCL. All right. So that's going to be one that I'm going to be watching for as well. But again, nice move on that. You probably will see CCL, Carnival Cruise, and some of the other ones as well trading up on the back of that. Okay. Let me see what else. Let's go to Bitcoin. Let's see what's going on in the Bitcoin chart here. Bitcoin's having a small daily bounce. Keep in mind, we had this beautiful topping tail here, and I pointed this out to members of Verified Investing Crypto. And again, Verified Investing Crypto members, as soon as I saw that topping tail, I said, okay, guys, this is a short-term sell signal. And look, 1, 2, 3, 4 down days following that topping tail. If you guys aren't familiar with topping tails and bottoming tails, they're amazing indicators of potential tops and bottoms. Definitely something you want to check out. Again, I teach it in the Verified Investing Education series, the Winning Trader series. And again, you can find that at verifiedinvestingeducation.com. All right, couple other things here. As we see, Bitcoin is getting a small bounce today. And again, the big thing to watch for markets bouncing, look at the dollar. The dollar is up slightly. Watch it on Powell. When Powell speaks, if the dollar pops, you have resistance at 104.20 or so. And again, I do think that the dollar is having a 3-bar surge, 1, 2, 3. You likely, even if you get a little pop here, you're likely going to get a pullback in the dollar. That would bode well for a continued small bounce in Bitcoin and maybe potentially the stock market. All right. So again, any sort of dollar weakness, you should expect the equity market, the assets in general, risk assets like Bitcoin to get a little bit of a pop. All right. Next up, let's take a look at Tesla. Tesla's on my radar. It is trading up on the day. The key level I have on Tesla, which is a sell short level, is going to be this beautiful level here, right? So again, Tesla, look at this pivot low, look at this pivot low right here. And again, that is a beautiful maneuver right there, right through here as well. That gives us a very strict resistance level right around 206 on Tesla. So Tesla, again, 206 is going to be your major resistance. If we continue up, and let's just say risk on continues for the next few months, where would we head as your maximum upside? This downsloping trend line would be next. So resistance 1, which is major, again, that would be a shortable level. And then again, later on, if it continues through, resistance number 2, this downsloping trend line, beautiful resistance there. It's been an amazing bounce in Tesla, basically almost 100% off of the lows. But again, you're finally starting to come into some major resistance on the chart. All right, a couple other things here as we go through. I want to take a look at Apple. Apple, again, had a big surge on the back of the reversal on earnings. Now, this was mind-blowing to me. Let me just tell you guys, Apple earnings were not great. They were not good at all. So, we saw a decline in revenue. We saw, different things like that. So to see the reversal on Friday from a gap down and it's down as much as 5% in the aftermarket on Thursday to actually a touch of the highs at this pivot high, that was amazing to me. Now, we saw a little bit of a reversion to the mean, kind of reverting back down yesterday. I'm going to watch this very closely. But notice the high on that day matched perfectly the high right here. That now is the resistance to beat, meaning that Apple technically right here is a short unless you take out this line right here, which is at 157.40. All right. So again, use these technicals. This is how a trader thinks, right? A trader does not think, oh, it could go higher, it could do this. Maybe in some weird situation, it goes to $200. A trader uses specific technical levels to guide them. And basically, what you're doing by using technical levels is you're using probabilities. So, what we know is that when Apple spiked up, it stopped on a dime, like literally to the penny, with this pivot high right here. Okay. And so basically, that tells us that unless this line is taken out on a daily closing basis, technically, that is your level that you can short up against. So when you look at Apple and you see this mammoth push to the upside, to me, I'm looking to short that level. All right. So again, to me, Apple is a short anywhere in this range up here, as long as it does not close above 157.40 or so. All right. So again, very important to understand how the retail crowd analyzes and goes by their emotion. What's Twitter saying? What are my big influencers I follow on Twitter going about? Are they saying they're buying a new Lambo because they made all the profits in Bitcoin's recent move? And does that get me emotionally like, oh my goodness, I have to chase this move because I want to buy a Lambo? BS. Don't follow that. Look to the chart. The chart is always going to be your truest form of honesty. Okay. And again, that's why I'm successful at what I do and why the people that I teach are successful, because once you learn to control your emotion, you then can focus in on the probabilities, which don't guarantee winners always. God knows I am not a perfect trader, but far from it. But if you can win 7 out of 10 times, 8 out of 10 times, you're going to be a Hall of Famer in this game, right? That's just the bottom line. All right. So again, we'll take a look at what's going on here in a couple other charts. I do want to check back in on natural gas as we approach the morning 8:30 time frame. Yeah, natural gas continuing to inch up here. Nice little move, guys. And again, if we flip to the intraday, you can see it's starting to make new highs. The resistance short term, watch 253. That's your high in the overnight. And like I said, if you get through 253, you got to start watching for this high at 260 to be broken. But yeah, it's a nice little move at this point. Yes, David, yep, emotions are the hardest thing. And by the way, I want to stress this to you guys. Everything that you guys are going through, I've gone through. And so I don't want you to feel like, oh, Gareth, look at him. He's a great trader. I was a beginner at one point. I didn't have any guidance. I got into this market $10,000 as a day trader. I lost it 10 times. Okay. And I worked literally, I was like, not going to give up on this. I ended up working side jobs at nighttime, on weekends, doing whatever I had to do to replenish that trading account, not willing to give up. And over time, I learned from my mistakes and I started to study psychology and I learned how to read charts, and it slowly came. But I always stress that because I know it's very hard to imagine where you may be to where I am, but I was where you are. So again, it takes discipline. I can teach anyone how to read a bottoming tail and a topping tail, an engulfing candle, a head and shoulders pattern. I can show you exactly how to read an RSI. What I can't do is teach you emotional control. And that's the essence of it, right? That's where you're going to have to dig deep. And eventually, as you learn charts, it helps you trust the charts and get control of your emotions. That's the positive about doing charts. Okay. In terms of books, basic technical analysis stuff is fine. You know, just find a basic TA book. I wouldn't go into anything more complex than that because a lot of the stuff I don't think is correct. So be careful, again, what TA books you do go to for more advanced stuff. Like I say, you know, I've spent 20 years doing this. And again, I created the Winning Trader series on purpose to guide investors to doing it the way that for me it works. And all I can speak to is myself, how it works. All right. Couple questions. I'm going to go through a couple questions, guys. If you have some charts that you want me to bring up, feel free to type them in. Let's take a look at the VIX here. Let's see what the volatility index is doing. And again, right now, the volatility index, if we flip over to your daily chart, yep, a little bit of an uptick today, had a nice bounce yesterday. And again, we'll see what it does when Jerome Powell speaks. We know that that is going to be the market moving data for the week, for the day. Let's look at silver real quick here, guys, as we go to silver. And again, silver is coming into my level. If you guys have been following me, and even on my interviews, I've been saying, guys, it's bullish consolidation on silver, but you can't buy this rip. You cannot pay up. So I said, when it pulls back to 22, I might start nibbling. And I think I might on a Pierce of 22. And then if it gets below 22, my next levels, 21.20 and $20.80. So those are my accumulation zones on silver. And again, it was due for a pullback, right? Just like gold. If we look at gold, right? Gold has had a mammoth run, finally coming in. The level on gold where I'm going to start to play it. Again, guys, I've talked about this one right here. See this pivot area. If gold pulls back to about 1805, I'm going to start getting involved there. Okay. All right. We talked about the S&P earlier. We touched on Bitcoin. So I'm not going to touch on that. By the way, Baidu, BIDU, a Chinese stock, is having a huge surge today, trading north of 160. It's trading up here. The reasoning being is they have their own chat GPT or whatever it is bot that they've introduced, and that is getting so much hype. And by the way, AI it had this crazy run up. It's AI. I think it catches it, but to be honest, I don't think that they do the same thing as chat GPT. So for my personal belief is that this will come in decently. This is much more like a Palantir type stock versus one of these really autonomous AI type programs that will do work for you essentially online. But yeah, look at the run on this. I mean, anything that has AI in the title recently has gone parabolic because of the hype around this chat GPT type stuff. Okay. Let's take a look here. I want to look at a couple of these. Yeah, we can look at Polkadot real quick, see what's going on Polkadot today. Yeah, Polkadot's getting a little bit of a pop. I still have resistance around this 740 level right up here. So, you could get a little bit of a bounce here. To be honest, this is going to go up if Bitcoin goes up. So it follows Bitcoin quite accurately. And again, I would be looking to potentially start a short position north of 740. There's a chance you could retrace all the way up to this 850 level, but this is your area now where you're starting to get significant resistance. Okay. In terms of my Bitcoin, I just want to be clear on this because a lot of people are continuing to wonder, is my analysis still showing, is it going to still go down to the 12 to 13,000 level and potentially 9? And I want to stress that as of now, the larger time frame technicals are still showing that. So be very, very careful. I could be wrong, of course. Again, I am wrong every once in a while. But right now, to me, I would be much more intrigued if this popped and touched 25,000. We have a position in verified investing crypto. I would be unloading that there and then looking for a bigger move down. I think it's very interesting how investors have gotten so bullish on Bitcoin when it's this small of a move. Look at the size of that move and then look at where the all-time highs were. So to be able to claim this is a new bull market, it's a little tricky. And I've seen a lot of so-called fundamental analysis out there that, this must be the bottom, the 4-year cycle, this and that. But remember, the 4-year cycle was under the guise of Fed printing money. They're not printing money right now. So you have to be a little bit open to things changing up a little bit here. Just like, and I want to be clear on this, we had one of the longest bull markets from 2009 to 2021. Why? Was that a normal cycle? No, it was literally the longest bull market we've ever had. I mean, yeah, you had the COVID collapse in there, but that was like 2 months. You really didn't have any long-term bear markets. It was the longest bull market we've pretty much ever seen. Why? Because the Fed was printing money. So there is this impact on cycles that occurs when you have artificial drugs being introduced into the system, i.e. Fed printing of money. So we really have to be aware of that. And I think that gets me a little bit more cautious that maybe the low is in on Bitcoin and makes me think there's still potentially some downside to it. Okay. All right. Let's see what else we have here as I scan through a bunch of these questions. So many good questions here. Let's take a look at the QQQ real quick. And again, doesn't look like there's any major economic news at 8:30 this morning. Everyone's just waiting on Jerome Powell to speak up here. But let's take a look here. So the Qs did hit major resistance right up here. We've seen a retrace. You haven't filled the gap yet on the technical chart at 300.75 on the Qs. That would be first support. Again, Jerome Powell today will be speaking. That's going to determine what the dollar does. Does it pop? Does it drop? And the markets will reverse or go inverse to that move. Okay. Let me see what else we have here. Coinbase. Yeah, let's take a look at Coinbase. Coinbase to me was a short squeeze, plain and simple. You did get a topping tail on the chart right here. That is a classic daily topping tail. Now, just remember, topping tails sometimes can do 50% retraces. But again, I would say this is now becomes a short. Anything if you get close to $80 on a retrace of the topping tail, that is now a short signal for me on it. Downside first target would be 65.5, followed by 61.45, and followed by probably major support that could be buyable at $56.25. Okay, so those are the key ones there. Yeah, we already looked at natural gas earlier today. So again, we could check back in. I know everyone's all into the nat gas since it's a trade that I've been doing. Yeah, look at nat gas soar here, guys. Awesome move. Holy cow. Look at that. By the way, I want to just show you guys something. You want to see something really cool? And I know, of course, we all want to see something cool. Take this distance. Oops, I did it wrong. Bear with me. Take this distance here, right, to that move. So this move, and then that was 10, 11 cents. Take this move. Where's 11 cents? Right here. So notice how we're just about to what I would refer to as a measured move. Measured move is another in fact, here we go. There we go. Looks like we're touching it. Now, by the way, this doesn't mean natural gas is going to not break above this level maybe a little bit later. But in general, using measured moves gives you an idea of how big. And look, literally, as I'm saying it, it goes right to the level right there. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So again, when you get these big pops, consolidation in between, usually you'll get an equal move, or a lot of times you'll get an equal move. So 11-cent move and 11-cent move on nat gas. Now what I would like to see is bullish consolidation. What would be that? That would be sideways consolidation, but awesome move on natural gas this morning, guys. Okay, fantastic. It's even piercing the level a little bit here. Very, very cool. All right, so let's go back to a couple more questions before I end today's live stream, and we'll do this again. I'm leaning towards on Thursday at 8:15 again. We'll have the jobs data, the unemployment, not the jobless claims data on Thursday as well. Let's take a look at ETH. I know a lot of you guys are all about the ETH. ETH is rolling over on an intraday basis. Let's go to the daily chart. So the daily chart is stuck between two parallels, really, right? So I can even put in a parallel here, right? So if we take these lows and we stretch them up right here, you basically have a parallel channel. So for me, when I see a parallel channel that's upsloping, it's generally a negative, meaning that upsloping channels eventually break down. Now, it doesn't mean it can't go to the high end first, but eventually these channels break to the downside. All right. And again, the thought process is that if you have a channel that's up, 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 price can't keep up. Eventually, price stalls out and breaks down, right? It just can't go up forever. So again, to me, I have a short signal out in verified investing crypto on this. We're basically flat on it as of now, but I'm looking for a move down here to about $1,320 on ETH. Could it go up and touch this area up here in this upper range? Yes. This is a channel. It can bounce in this channel for long periods of time. It's just a matter of when does it finally, peter out, right, and break down. All right. I saw Palantir as a question real quick. PLTR. Take a look at that one. That one's also had a great move up. Very a la AI, except not quite as big. There's nothing for me to do on this chart. I wouldn't short it. It's not a big enough rally. What I would tell you is that if you fill this gap up here at $11 in the next week or so, and then you have a double top right up here at 1140, this would be your short range. All right. So again, if this continues up in the next week, and remember, I'm giving a time frame on it because in like a year, if it goes here, it's probably not a short. In the next week or so, if it were to squeeze up to 1150, that would be a high percentage shorting opportunity. Okay. Let me see here. I'll take one or two more here. I see Spotify. Let's take a look at Spotify real quick. Yeah, Spotify broke above this, but look at this, guys. Spotify honestly is a short. So look at that. Classic little double top right there. Pivot high, pivot high. If it breaks above that, there's another gap fill at 137 as well. but you're starting to get into a range where this has a fair amount of resistance. Major resistance at 125, major resistance at 137. So both of those levels look interesting to me as a potential short opportunity. Okay. Lastly, I'll look at JP Morgan here. JP Morgan is a big bank stock, has lots of resistance. You can see my dotted line there. It kissed it right here. That is a lot of resistance right there. Now, it has been hovering underneath, so I'm not someone who will short this level. So again, this was an original level as a trigger, and now I want to delete it because you got too close here, and then you pulled back. So anytime you get, and this is a great educational rule, when you get close to a technical level and you miss it and pull back, let's say technical resistance and you pull back, that level is considered what we call in spirit of hit, meaning it essentially kissed it and it's the same as if it hit it. And levels should only be played really on their first hit. First hit gives you the highest probability of success. So now when I'm looking at JP Morgan, where's my next short level? If it continues up, I'm going to give it to you right now, right here. Look at that. Pivot low, pivot low, pivot low, right through here. So 147 would be a good starting point for a short on JP Morgan if it gets there. Okay. All right. Other than that, guys, it looks like, again, markets are trading slightly higher pre-market. Should be interesting to go. Beautiful little bounce again on natural gas. We'll see if this can get its mojo and continue on to do its thing. Again, like I said, maybe 350 target if it really gets its momentum on natural gas. Right now, it's just above 250, getting close to 260. So we'll go from there. You guys have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. Let's make some money today. I'll be in the live day trading room shortly, day trading these chart setups live. Come join me at inthemoneystocks.com. Like this feed. Follow it so you get these free ones out there. And don't forget, verified investing education. Get the Winning Traders series. Thank you guys all. I salute you all. Take care.